Hey guys, it's JD with the Real Estate Jam podcast, and today we have an exciting show for you. Our guest today is the one and only Jordan Stanley Payne. Now, Jordan is the creator and co-founder of The Kingdom Real Estate. It's an online mentorship group, and really it's not even an online mentorship group because they get together quite often. And actually, that's where me and Annabel first met. Melissa is at one of the events that he put on. He's been into real estate for quite a few years now, and for at least the last 3 years, he's been mentoring people all over America and really all over the world. He packs a ton of value into every interaction, so this one's no different. Sit back, enjoy, and if you like the podcast, go ahead and give us a like and a share on whatever platform you're listening to.
They don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabel, and Melissa.
All right. Well, we're really excited today. It's another one of our favorites. We have a guest today. So this week we have the visionary leader of the Kingdom Real Estate, which is an online real estate mentorship platform. And he's a mentor to literally thousands. And he's also a multifamily real estate investor, which you can hear more about on his podcast, The Multifamily Mafia. But in the meantime, we have him right here with us. So we look forward to hearing what he's going to share with us today. Jordan, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, guys. It's an honor. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Jordan. So most of the people in our network and most of the people that are going to be listening to this podcast probably know who you are. But for the ones that don't, could you kind of give us a brief rundown of where you started from, corporate life, into real estate investing, a little bit of that, and the Kingdom, Axiom, and where you're running off into the future, and just so people can get a little bit more familiar with who you are and what you got.
Sure. Yeah, no, I grew up in an entrepreneur family. Parents both had businesses entire childhood, some that did really well and some that just didn't. And I'd been involved with quite a bit of that and had made a choice to kind of dive into corporate America. I learned a while ago that, if you want to learn a skill set, go get a job that teaches that skill set phenomenally. So I was really interested in management and learning how to work with people and build a team and kind of scale in that fashion. So I went to Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They have one of the top online mentorship training programs, and I kind of climbed that corporate ladder quite a bit. And diving into real estate, I remember really, really vividly, my dad came in one day and gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I know everybody's read. And for whatever reason, I could not get that book and those ideas out of my head. I couldn't sleep. I thought about it constantly. And that eventually led to me hearing about real estate and diving in. Like most people, I did wholesaling when I first started, had a mentor and dove right in. I was fortunate enough with where we were at. We did well. We did about $500,000 the first 10 months. And wholesaling's cool in the fact that you can make a lot of money pretty quickly if you do it right. But that book still in the back of my head, I was like, man, this is not generational wealth. This is not something that is consistent and happens every single month. This is a one-time hit. And if I stop doing that, I'm basically going to run out of money at some point. So that's kind of where the buy and hold stuff came in. Is I said, man, I'm giving away great deal after great deal after great deal, and I really want to figure out a way to keep it. So that was kind of my dive into multifamily. Didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a ton of great credit, and I really had to get creative on building my portfolio. So we did stuff, literally I would hear about something and then I would go implement it. And then I'd hear about something else and go implement. Somebody was like, man, you can do a lease option. So I'd study lease options and then go do one. Then I'd hear about subject to, et cetera. So that was really how we built our portfolio. And you mentioned the Kingdom. Throughout, this journey of a couple years, people people were watching and kind of following in and asking questions. And that's really how our mentorship community kind of came about.
Yeah, awesome. And been around the kingdom for a long time. It is probably one of the best real estate communities that I've been a part of, and it's especially beneficial for people who are a little bit apprehensive about wanting to learn about real estate. There's a lot of individuals in that group that are doing millions of dollars a year in real estate, and there's people in there who literally haven't done a single deal, and there's all in between. And what's one of the most beneficial things that I found in that community is, with one hand you're reaching up and somebody that's above you is pulling you up, and with your other hand you're able to reach down and lift somebody who isn't quite to where you're at in the race, bring them up to your level. So that's one of the huge things. And I recommend the kingdom to just about any of the newer investors that I ever come across, because there's a whole bunch of different programs out there, and we've all heard about them, $25, $50, $100,000 programs that can or have a reputation for taking advantage of people who aren't there yet. And that's not the kingdom at all. There's a lot of information that's freely given. And then the paid mentorship is really about elevating yourself into, in my opinion, elevating yourself into a community that has a little bit of a barrier to entry. So you're not getting spammed. You're not getting, your Facebook Messenger blown up with a bunch of people from Bangladesh trying to sell you private money or something like that, And so I think that's the most beneficial thing about the online kingdom. But what's benefited me personally the most is the relationships with other investors that I've built within there. And actually, that's how our partnership came about, was through the Kingdom Connect when it was down in Arizona. That's where we met Melissa, and we hit it off. And, we've been doing big things ever since. So
I love it.
I think
we call it multi-level mentoring. If we can summarize it, multi-level mentoring, meaning wherever you're at, you can help somebody else. Whether you're doing millions of dollars a year or whether you're 2 weeks in. I mean, there's something that you can contribute. So that's cool.
Do you think that you ever could have imagined? I think it was like 3.5, 4 years ago when we were just in the regular Facebook group, just the couple of us that were. Could you ever imagine, was this the end point, where, not necessarily the end point, but did you see the community and the group looking like this, 4 years ago or whatever it was?
Not at all. No. Nope. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. So some people start something with a very, very clear, intention or goal point. I just don't think that was us. We were just kind of winging it, met great people, and great people said, hey, this is kind of what we want. Okay, cool. We'll try it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you have done a lot of different smaller programs and stuff. And one of the ones that I was super interested in, but didn't get to attend, was the Wholesaling Academy, I think is what it was, the Scaling Academy. I can't remember the name. I think Melissa was a part of it. But that's one of the things that really interests us, because as we're starting to branch out and bring more people onto our team, it's something that we're looking to do more and more of, putting systems and processes in place. And I also think that that's something that a lot of our listeners are going to either aspire to be or are currently going through now. So could you kind of maybe give us some breakdown of what you think about scaling, or how you would recommend going into that? And we could talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, the Scaling Academy, I want to say it was like 5 or 7 weeks long, but I'll try to summarize it as best as I can. So when I'm helping people scale, I really walk them through a couple different points. The first one being is scale what? A lot of people are like, man, I want to scale my business. Well, what's your business? Well, I wholesale. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. Specifically, start to finish, what is your process to acquiring a customer or doing a wholesale deal or a buy and hold deal? So kind of the first pillar of this is really having an understanding of this is how we make money. It starts at point A, and for most people, it's normally marketing. And these are the steps that we take to get a deal or to get a customer. So that's normally the first thing that we do is, man, you've got to almost outline every single thing, like Cliff Note. You know, JD does blank, and then Melissa does blank. Like, this is the process to make money. So when we have that outline, it really goes into the second pillar, which is documenting every single bullet point or every piece of that outline. You know, so if it's marketing, it's really deep diving every single step. Okay, so we do mailers. Well, if you guys are trying to build a team, you can't just go tell Susie Q that you found on Craigslist, oh, we do mailers. You have to say, okay, this is what it looks like. This is the copywriting we use. This is where we order blank. This is how we input people into our CRM. You know, so we have an outline, and then we start to really document each step of it. Kind of after that, I mean, it's really about organization. We've used Google Docs, we've used Dropbox. Some people are using a CRM. Just a way to compile that information so that as you're building your team, you're not saying, this is your album. I say album as information. This is everything that you need to know about your position in our company. You know, here's the on-ramp document, you know, like that is basically, hey, this is our company, these are our bylaws, this is what we stand for. You know, then step 1, you're going to be learning this, and there's 5 videos. Step 2, you know, so it's really about documenting, because I think you guys would all agree there's things that we do in real estate that have now become natural to us that we wouldn't even recognize it because it's so fluid. Like, we just do it, just subconsciously we just do it, but a new person on your team wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've done. So we've put together videos of, you know, certain things like, you know, our CRM system, you know, how to pull comps, those kind of things that JD's put those together. So we don't have to do that over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Really, the reason that we started doing that, though initially wasn't the idea of scale, or at least that wasn't my idea behind it. My idea was, this is a dynamic business, and real estate is not for everybody on the employee side, on the entrepreneur side. Yeah. And what I found is, in a lot of this, was that people were coming on, they were working for a few weeks, and then they wouldn't work out. But then I had taken all my individual time to teach them that. We set up all their accounts and everything, and then it's like the day their training was over, they're like, yeah, this isn't for me, and quit. Or we realize, hey, this isn't for them, and then we have that hard conversation. Usually they knew, you know, but then we were just so much time over and over and over again. So that's why we started making the videos. But now we found that that's allowed us to focus our time on other pieces of the business. And there, you know, and I guess that is scaling, but I didn't look at it like that initially. I looked at it as, how can I best use my time?
And so much of it is culture too. You know, like you've got to immerse, you know, anybody that's going to be working with you into your culture. I remember for quite a while, this would be kind of fast forwarding from the story I told earlier, but, you know, when we had our team at its biggest, you know, was me and my business partner, property management. We had a head of maintenance. We had a couple of people below him. You know, we had a banker, we had private money. Like, we had our insurance guy. Like, we had a pretty decent sized team, but part of the culture that we really wanted to establish was like, look guys, like, we're all in this together. You know, so we'd go out to lunch like almost every single week. I thought it was going to bankrupt the company at one point, but, you know, like we were spending a lot of time with people and really showing them, like, look, it's a job, you know, and you have an obligation here, but look, this really is, you know, a community, and like our company, like, we've got each other's back. So I found that was almost as important, if not more, than like the training and having a clear expectation was also getting people involved in the vision of it. Like, this is why we guys do it. You guys specifically, you have a really cool vision for what you guys are doing down there, you know? And I think that is what's going to keep people around. Like, hey, yes, we do flipping or wholesaling or whatever, but like, this is why we do it. Like, we want to help a community that was affected by this, and this. And this is like the bigger vision that will keep people.
Yeah, we've definitely found that true when we've been hiring, is that they're very drawn to that community-based fixing.
Yeah.
One house at a time. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jordan, I just wanted to go back on something that you said, just because a lot of people that will be listening are newer to real estate, and you said something, and you said you can make a lot of money at wholesaling if you do it right. And can you just like maybe point a couple points out of what you mean when you say do it right?
Yeah, so we've always taken the approach of not always the popular way, but in our opinion, what's the correct way to do a wholesale deal and run a business. So we really focus on serving two people, the buyer and the seller. How we teach it is we start with the buyer. So rather than, I'm going to give you the opposite way. The opposite way is, look, anything that fits a formula, normally ARV times 0.70 minus repairs, anything that fits this formula, just lock it up whether you have a buyer or not. And I don't know if you guys have seen this in your market, but in my market, what I saw was a lot of people getting hurt, specifically sellers. You've got the 67-year-old lady that husband passed away. She's not making the mortgage. She's got 45 days to get current or she's going to lose her house. And then Joe Blow, the wholesaler, comes in and just makes her this offer, and he messes up the formula and promises her and shakes her hand and hugs her and says, hey, we're going to take care of you. And then that doesn't happen. And then that reputation of wholesalers or real estate investors, it spreads pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So when I say you can make money by doing it right, normally what I'm referring to is like, look, we can have some really solid understandings of our buyers and what they want to do and what price point they would be at and get a commitment from them. And then when we go talk to that 67-year-old lady, we're really confident in what we're saying in the approach. So the majority of my money has been really just establishing relationships. For us, it starts with our buyer, understanding what they want, and then, finding people that have a problem that fits that criteria.
So, Jordan, by that, do you mean send a massive blast out to 1,000 people that you found maybe bought cash homes and telling them, hey, here's what we have? You recommend doing it that way, or is it a little bit different than that?
You're baiting me, bro. No. So our first 10 months we did 500 grand with 5 buyers, not 100, not 500, not 1,000. Like, we had 5 buyers, and these are people that I'd met, like either at a local networking thing or a referral from somebody. I try to work really heavily with property management companies and title companies, and I would just ask them, like, hey, who's actually buying? Who's legit in this marketplace? Who's your number one client? Mr. Title Company, who's your number one client? Oh, JD buys every single week. Okay, well, I want to serve, those people. Would it be okay if you set up a meeting? So we did most of what we did with just 5 buyers, and I never felt the need to have a massive this or that. Like, I'm not saying put all your eggs in one basket, but I'm saying, like, I could do probably 15 deals a month with those 5 buyers because of the volume that they were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess to sum up what you're saying is that it's more of a relationship-based buyer than just the massive blast. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't sat down with these people, over lunch or coffee or, and really, if you can't tell me who, what, when, where, why, how many, like that whole thing, it's probably not a relationship that's been established fully. It's probably a partial relationship, which maybe they'll do a deal, but maybe not. I never wanted to base my business on a maybe. Like, I wanted to know, like, man, what do you buy? And if I could provide that for you, are we good?
So
100% relationship. Yeah.
A lot of our people, and us specifically, me and Annabel, Melissa's in our market, but a lot of people are doing some virtual type stuff. How do you think that changes the way that you build your relationship with your buyers? Being, I can't go and sit down for lunch, right? But I can do Zoom. But do you handle it the same way, whether you're virtually or in person?
Yes, it's obviously there's another layer there for sure. Zoom is a great tool. It comes to the point where, like, on the virtual side, which I was primarily virtually, like, I live in a tiny town in Montana. I wasn't doing 15 deals in Columbus. There's only 1,000 people here. So right? I own half the town. Most of my stuff was virtual, and to establish that relationship with the buyer, I normally had somebody on the ground. like through my network, through the people that I knew, I normally had somebody that lived there. Now, it could be a real estate agent. It could be somebody in a community like the Kingdom or any of these other Facebook communities. It could be somebody like that could basically put a name to the face and say, hey, look, I work with Jordan, or I work with, with the Monroes, or like, whatever. Like that's going to go a long way. And if you don't have that person yet, you should probably find somebody. But I mean, it's almost 2020, right? The technology is insane. We use Marco Polo almost on a daily basis just to communicate, and it's more of a face-to-face rather than a text blast or an email blast.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, so we kind of touched on the scaling thing. We touched on developing buyers. Do you want to hit maybe on what your ideal team would look like, and what those key positions, and maybe like the inside circle versus the outside circle, that kind of stuff, and what it looks like for you?
Sure. Yeah. So literally 3 weeks ago, I sold out of my main portfolio. So the team has changed a little bit. Like the dynamic is a little bit different, and it's kind of cool because I'm now doing it over again, which is really fun. Because the team that I built 5 years ago, I've learned a lot, right? I mean, like you have to be adaptive. So now that it's like almost like team 2.0, I'm really cognizant of, all right, so what did it look like when I built it 5 years ago? And what does it look like now that I'm building it again? So that's been a really, really cool dynamic. But I built my team based on what I needed when I needed it. A lot of people are taught, here's 15 things that you need, whether it's a CRM or a tool or a virtual assistant, et cetera. And I think they take the focus off of, well, where am I at right now and what do I need? So I'll give you the buy and hold version of this because the wholesale version is a little bit different. But on the buy and hold version, the absolute first thing that I needed was property management. We went from 1 unit to 100 units quickly, like really quickly, because again, I was like implementing everything that I learned, like went crazy. So I realized that my skill set, and this comes back to identity, like you have to know what your strength is. Like every single one of you guys, like you have a different strength, and that's what makes your team work really, really well. So you've got to identify what your strength is. And my strength was putting deals together and marketing. Like it was kind of twofold. So I was not good at, the system, and, this is like how we collect rent. And this is like this, it was this big, gigantic burden for me. And it was taking up so much of my time that I was not focusing on building the portfolio. So the first thing that we did was we brought on property management. But again, depending on you and like what your strength is, your strength might be the management. So you might need to bring on like some sort of an acquisitions.
Right.
So we went property management. The second thing that we did was we brought on a full-time maintenance guy. He ended up bringing on a couple people himself. The third thing that we did was we brought on an acquisitions manager. Basically fielding all of the phone calls, all of the deals. She was also a licensed real estate agent. So she was able to list all of the properties that we didn't keep, which is really cool. And then the final thing that we did was we really built out the marketing team. So acquisitions managers handling the leads. How is she getting leads? So that team, I say team a little bit loosely, but we kind of built kind of like a little hub of about 10 people, and that was, 5-6 wholesalers that were basically working directly with her. Her name was Melissa as well. But they were working with her, like daily. We had some people that were doing mailing and marketing and flyers for us. So that was really where we were at. And then for myself and my business partner, it was really just kind of watching from a 10,000 foot view and saying, man, where's the bottleneck? Melissa isn't talking to anybody. Why is that? Well, the people doing the marketing aren't marketing. Maintenance guy isn't doing his job. Why is that? So we were able to get outside of the business and look down on it and say, man, where is this broken?
On the business instead of in the business kind of stuff, huh?
For sure. And a lot of people try to get the 10,000 foot view before they've ever worked in the business, So I teach that in the Scaling Academy as well. It's like, you can't teach somebody something that you've never done, like you're trying to bring in a VA to do cold calling, but you've only done one cold call. You've never had a successful cold call that went from cold call to deal. How are you going to teach that? You know? So for us, I mean, it took a little bit of time, and maybe we scaled a little bit slower and built our team slower, but I had to understand what I was good at. Especially if you're new. For anybody that's listening to this, you know, down the road, especially if you're new, you probably need to do a little bit of everything, you know, and then really track, you know, man, I talked to 100 people and none of them agreed. Like, maybe I'm not good on the phone, or and my marketing just like it's just not working. Like, maybe I'm not good at marketing, or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely one of those guys that has to know what it is. I've been around a lot of people, especially in my regular job, that don't necessarily feel that same way, where you have to know it. For me personally, you know, that's why our very first house, I did the entire rehab by myself, because from that point on, I could say, hey, listen, it's not going to take you 5 days to tile that bathroom. I'll give you 2.5 at the most, you know, and go through it like that. That's just one section of it.
Dude, it would take me a year. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, my wife could do it in 2.5 days. It'd take me a year.
It literally took us Annabel, was it 6 months? And we had somebody else who came in and mentored me through the entire process, held my hand, showed me how to wire a house, showed me everything, let me use and break all of his tools. And then he charged me $2,000 after we refinanced and got all of our money back out of the deal. And
wow.
that barely covered all the shit that I broke, all the stuff that I broke.
What was his number again? I think I need that guy.
Yeah, his name's Matt. If he ever listens, he won't because he's too busy. But he's a good dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
I have some other questions, kind of shifting topics a little bit. So I know that influencer kind of has a bad connotation. You know, it's a bad word. But that's not really the way that I look at it. When I think of my personal influencers right now, a guy named Gino Wickman wrote the book Traction. That's a really big one for us right now. You are definitely one of my influencers. Don Costa, Bill Allen, some of these guys are people that I am looking to see, hey, where are they at and where do I want to be? My question now is in that regard, not the flashy watch on Instagram, not that influencer, but who are your influencers, and what are you looking out for? Where are you going to reach the next level? Who are you trying to get to?
Sure. So this may or may not be the answer that you're looking for, but most of the people that I am consuming information from, learning from, being mentored from, are people that aren't even necessarily in real estate. You know? So like I wanted, like right now I'm heavy into systems right now. So the people that I'm learning from, you know, like they don't own real estate, but they're the number one, you know, the best guy in systems, you know. We're trying to get better at marketing. So we're learning from guys like Taylor Welch and Chris Evans at like Traffic and Funnels. And, you know, I'm trying to, rather than like a big picture, I'm looking at the individual tiny little minuscule things, you know, in the different businesses that I have. And then I'm finding, and who's the best of the best at that. You know, okay, maybe it costs me $1,000. Great. But, you know, if I can get better at systems, my entire team will operate better, you know, and we'll save 20 hours, you know, a month. That's way more than $1,000, you know. Right. In the real estate world, you know, yeah, guys like Don Costa are awesome. I hate to call out my business partner, but I've learned so much from Todd Fleming. I mean, every time I talk to the dude, it's just, I mean, I'm taking notes. I mean, like he's just, it's been fun. Like I learn more from watching people's journey. Like if you guys all had 15,000 units and like you'd completely made it, I wouldn't learn as much from that as watching somebody's journey from zero to hero, you know, because I learn more from that side of it. So, you know, guys that are building it right now, it's been really fun to watch. You know, Todd's kind of in that boat. Even Don Costa. I mean, like I've watched him. I mean, we first interacted with him a couple years ago. You know, and I've watched that growth and that development. It's been really, really cool. Yeah, it's just different, right? Like, I mean, like, so on the real estate side, like I don't feel like I'm lacking any real estate information, right? We've done flips, we've done wholesales, you know, we've done buy and hold. And I don't mean like we've done a deal, like we've built companies out of it, and like successful companies. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to learn like how to buy a house in a way that I haven't learned, but how do I do these other minuscule things that are going to make that process more effective?
Yeah, that's exactly, you hit that question exactly what I was looking for. We always say, and I truly believe, real estate is one of the simplest businesses.
Yeah.
And you can make it as complicated or as easy as you want, but it's definitely simple. It's not easy. Being consistent is hard, whether that's going to the gym every day or sending your marketing out on time. Those are the things that are difficult. But those individual skill sets, that is more what I was looking for, like where you're going out to reach those different things, and to show that like real estate is just another business in the millions of businesses that are across,
Sure.
And there's different places that you can go to learn those specific tasks. Marketing, a lot of the people that I talk to in real estate say that real estate investors are 10 to 20 years behind the curve on marketing for prospects, marketing for buyers, and all that kind of stuff. Copywriting is crap because most of us don't do that good. There's all these different skill sets that can really take your business into the new century,
And I mean, like, I know we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I mean, like, a lot of this is going to come back to like that self-identity, and I'll even take it one further, like the team identity.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my team at? Like, what is my team lacking in? Like, maybe I read this book and like I understood it, but like, did my entire team understand? Like, how does that fit into my team?
Yeah.
Troy Fullwood's another one that I've just found immense value in. One of the humblest guys I know. I mean, the guy does billion with a B dollar transactions at a time. Like, we were just with him in Miami about 5 weeks ago, and this is a little bit of a rabbit trail. The most successful people in that house in Miami, I would say Todd Fleming, Troy Fullwood, Don Costa. Mm-hmm. And I noticed something really interesting. Every single one of those guys was up at 4 a.m. And like I was watching, like I wasn't up at 4 a.m. because I was 2 a.m. That's 2 a.m. in Montana. I'm like, no. But I got up a couple times, and I watched them. They were all reading out, out by the pool, and like they were cleaning up trash after other people. It's like, man, like, how do the wealthiest people in this room are the biggest servants, the humblest guys I know. Like, I want to learn from those guys,
Absolutely.
I want to learn, man, how did you get to that point? So that was cool. Like, those are people that I respect and learn a lot from.
That's super cool. That's really good insight for sure.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, Jordan, we're starting to run close on time, and we want to respect your time. So I was wondering, I know that you just had a pretty big announcement with Axiom. If you could share that with some of our listeners, and maybe a little bit of what Axiom is, and then we'll wrap it up with a couple extra questions.
Sure. Yeah. So we've had the Kingdom Real Estate for about 3.5 years. We've worked with 4,500 people. It's been phenomenal. JD, you guys were some of the first people that we worked with, and like the first 50, we call it. But part of the feedback loop with working with a lot of people is some people were like, hey, look, we love the group. We love, all the mentors and everything like that. But, we're really looking for like a deeper one-on-one. Can you walk me through my first 10 deals type of a thing? So, we created a program called Axiom where literally, you can partner with me and Todd for 2020, and we can help you, run through all of our systems, process, procedure, how we built our team, all of our marketing stuff. We can show you basically a blueprint to get to $100,000 or more a year. So that program is called Axiom. It's been really cool watching that progression and watching those people do really, really well. The big announcement was we just locked in funding for it that makes it insanely affordable for people that want to do it. If anybody's interested in that, our website is thekingdomrealestate.com. So pretty simple. You guys can find out more information there.
Awesome, man. Thanks. Girls, did you have any other questions there for Jordan?
I just wanted to thank him. I met Jordan through finding him on Facebook through Multifamily Mafia, and that was just like The first time I listened to it, I'm like, I love this guy. He said F-bomb probably 50 times. So I knew this was a guy after my heart. And so we just wanted to thank you at least for bringing us together for sure and starting us on our journey.
Absolutely. It's been really, really fun watching everybody. I mean, like watching you guys, not just meet, but meet and then build a business out of it. It's been really fun. So honors all mine, guys.
Awesome.
Annabelle?
Just again, I'll echo their sentiments and say thanks for being on the show with us today. Definitely, guys, check us out. We'll have more guests soon, and then check out the Kingdom Real Estate and what Jordan's got to offer. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Have a good one, Jordan.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, check out our website, shorefrontrestorations.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Shorefront Restorations. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at info@shorefrontrestorations.com. See you next episode.